So good morning, I'm Xavier Anglada, I'm Accenture Digital lead in the Middle East and North Africa region. I'm leading all the efforts for the company to help companies and governments to move from the old way of operating into the new, leveraging the digital technologies that are impacting across all the businesses and the customers, right? And in this role, basically we help all our clients to envision about what is the value, what their customers, what their end users expect in terms of experience, what are the pain points they have, and how to bring digital technologies, always underpinned by data, because to us, data is, if you want, the alpha trend, right? What really is a common denominator across all these.
So what is your sales model, if I can ask? Is it just a pure play consulting, or is there much more than that which you get involved with in organizations?
Well, we really get entrenched. Accenture is a multinational company. We operate in over 100 different countries. We have offices in 50 plus. So we are over 500,000 people globally, meaning, and we go really deep into partnering with our clients in these journeys. It's not a small step of advisory service, a paper thing. We get things done to the last end. For instance, in the case of the region, we're working with Etisalat and Expo to envision what's going to be the experience and all the technologies that will bring the best Expo ever being developed, right? So, and we get into the design, into the structure, into the implementation, and then the support to make it happen.
Okay, so essentially you are looking at an organization, the change management and the recommendation of the technology solutions to adopt. Is that
Absolutely, because to us, the technology is only an enabler for this journey. What really matters is what is the benefit, the end benefit, a lot with an end customer perspective, right? Because digital is dramatically transforming the way people work and live. So we take that changes in terms of experience and aspirations, and we say what technologies and what business models are behind that need to be changed in the businesses today to make sure that the companies evolve and create a future for themselves. That's why for us it's very important the element of innovation, and how this innovation needs to be done at scale. Because so often we find clients or companies around that basically they've done a lot of small little things, but they've not mastered the scaling of those to make them impactful.
No, so I'm saying that basically there are two aspects. One is a simple process improvement in a department. Okay, so it comes as a streamlining, efficiency streamlining or something. The other one is an entire organizational transformation.
Yes.
So you're saying you prefer the second one, not the first one. So if it's a smaller project, is that cost effective for you? Do you think it is a way of working, or?
Well, to us, at the end of the day, we want to help very large organizations, typically more than small ones, very large organizations in this massive journey, because one of these technologies bring a lot of opportunity to change. Then the question is what our clients' executives tell us, I don't know where to start. I've tested everything, but it didn't really create the expected impact I was expecting from it, right? So what we try to help them is co-create, envision what is the journey, and then walk together, because we co-create it, we design it in detail, and then we bring it together. At the end of the day, it's no longer this thing about a company has a problem, calls Accenture and we solve it, and then it's a black box. No. What it works really is a very entrenched. That's why, and I think you mentioned it very right, the change management, the people mindset evolution is the critical part of a successful transformation, right? Bringing people that are very traditional way of thinking on the business, on the processes and so on, into a new way to operate. This takes a significant amount of energy to be put and focus, and our experience is very strong on that, on helping transform. And why is that this experience? Because we started from ourselves. Accenture, 6 years ago, didn't have Accenture Digital. Today it represents over 60% of the business of a $44 billion US company.
Now let's look at some of the buzzwords or the challenges or some of the topics which are coming up. There's a lot of talk of customer experience, which is essentially the customer journey through various digital interfaces, digital applications, whether it's web interface for social media, whether it's mobile or something. So we have one thing called customer experience. Then we also hear about putting the customer in the center of the processes. So we hear about processes, re-engineering the processes. Then we hear about automation of the processes, right? And then of course you hear about moving to the digital technologies like cloud and mobile and all that. This is all one part of the same problem, or are these actually different types of options of transformation? How do you look at it?
So when we think about the transformation of let's say a corporation, we always start with analyzing very much the core business of this company. What are they good at? What are they differentiating in the market? And as well, how is the maturity of that business vis-a-vis the peers, the competitors, right? And based on that, because a lot of companies are reaching plateau of growth. So before they reach that, and when you reach plateau, what happens? Revenues do not grow, cost optimization is not easily there, then there is a stagnation, and typically then will be decline. So we want to anticipate that. What we help is take the core, apply the digital technologies at scale, and for instance, meaning applying RPA, robotics, into some of the services that can be automated, and carve out, so through cost optimizations or even some revenue upside, some of this value out and the investment into that. So when you optimize the core, you get some investment out, and this investment capability, we help them think how to repurpose and take some, for instance, to get the core into new services. Let me put a case. When Uber launched the platform, they thought about the car hailing and so on, all the ride sharing and so on. They not necessarily thought of a platform that can be used across, but then after doing that, they started creating the Uber Eats, which is a side business leveraging the same core. So that's what we're saying. First, you take some value from the core out of applying the brilliant basics of digital, RPA, artificial intelligence, and so on, at the core. Then this, you take some of the investment out, and you use this investment to create some adjacent businesses. So you're growing new businesses attached to the core. And as well, with this, you start getting growth again, right, from the core business. Then, what is critical is to identify what other services you can do around you. For instance, the case of telco services, the telecommunication companies, so relevant here in GITEX, right? So, one of the things they want to do is new avenues for growth. Areas for growth could be applying or leveraging and financial services, because at the end of the day, there is a strong customer connect that the telcos have. I said, what if I can provide a wallet? What if I can provide financial services, small loans, and so on into them? And they can get into those additional services. They are adjacent to their core, and they help growth, future avenues. And you cannot do this on an isolated manner. You need to do it industrialized, because 80% maybe of these new services you're going to launch will not scale, but maybe 5, 2, 1 will scale to a point that they will be the next new for you. So we help this process of optimizing the core, growing the core in new services, and then identifying areas in the new. And that's why we call it a wise pivot, from the old to the new, without needing more investment from the corporate, because corporates don't typically get more investment capability. You need to extract from the core before you can invest in new.
So let's talk about this restructuring. So in IT applications, we have DevOps, right?
Yes.
So essentially, you don't invest too much, you build the application, let it run.
And allows you to do agile development, right?
In your commercial engagements with your clients, can you afford to have this failure, or do you actually have to deliver without failure? I mean,
it's a super good question. The reality is that today is no longer even a question. It's a fact, the need that we iteratively approach. So we typically work, we work first together with clients very much entrenched. We create pods, which is a group of skills around an issue that have from designers to data scientists to business analysts to data engineers to all the elements, IT architects, that then together identify the way to iteratively applying DevOps and applying all types of SerOps security operations as well. So all these to make sure that in an agile format, the businesses and that you want to test are fine-tuned constantly, because the reality is that you never get it perfectly right. Every iteration, and we work in very small and quick sprints of 2 weeks to churn, to produce products or services that can be quickly tested into the market and either scaled, fine-tuned, or dropped because they don't work. We need to prove the hypothesis at the beginning. A lot of them prove to be wrong, you kill them. If they prove to be right, you fine-tune them and you scale.
Okay, so this is very important. So in the digital landscape, as you rightly said, you mentioned scale, but we see another challenge, which is our market sizing. Do you necessarily test it on a full scale? Because the real customer experience and the feedback that comes is when you have sufficient scale, because you know that you need a certain diversity and richness of the market base to get the real customer experience. Are you actually limited with customers because of the market sizing and the market issues over here?
Well, I would say it depends. In general, you don't need to have hundreds or thousands of customers to prove or disprove some hypothesis. What is important is that there is a strong data-driven hypothesis creation, and what we create actually now is what we call it liquid services. Liquid services are services that basically learn from the way customers use them, and they can modify the way they interact. Say the case of a web or an app. You use the app, and if you always access to the second screen, same application in a recurring manner, why do you need to go always to the second screen to get that application being tested or that service being used? Instead, the application and what we create is a learning system that brings that feature in the main page, so that the experience are micro-personalized. Then, you will never test this in a very wide scale. What you want to make sure is that the service can fine-tune as you move along to the individual, to make sure that every experience is personalized.
Understood. So let's look at the stress points. I mean, when you take the organization at scale, right? Obviously, and especially when you're looking at iterative and improvement, continuous improvement, once it needs a lot of maturity of understanding of what is going on.
Absolutely.
The second, it needs the ability to take this stress of change. Where do you see the pressure points in this sort of an exercise?
Absolutely spot on. So, I always say that when you have an ecosystem and you put an innovation in the middle of the ecosystem, the immune system expels it, because the organizations are prepared to protect themselves from the outside agents. When you put an innovation in the middle of an organization, the first thing that happens is that it kills. So you need to approach in a way that the organization embraces this. So we would never put it in the center, we would put typically at the, let's say, borders, so that people start seeing how it grows, and if it makes sense to be grown because it creates value for the customers, it creates return of investment for the company and so on, it will scale, and then it will become a part of the core. But so then, what I'm explaining is that there is an evolution on the way to approach on how to innovate. And we're coaching and we're walking together with the companies on how to go to this transformation. We've done it ourselves, and now what we're working is how to bring these learnings, we've done it first on ourselves, into our clients.
So tell me, who gets stressed in this thing? One is of course the expulsion mechanism, which could be power centers and various lobbies inside an organization.
Yes.
But finally, if somebody has contracted you, they need to make it happen. So who gets stressed? Who are the champions who take charge of bringing this sort of know-how or change management into organization? Is it a CEO? Is it somebody lower down? in your opinion, who gets the most influence to?
Look, it's as a good question as it's a difficult answer to it, because it's a bit of everyone. So clearly you need the top-down endorsement on this, because at the end, what is the end journey? The end journey is an evolution on the way we operate and the way the company will make the profits in the future. And to get to that, you really need the CEO to buy in. But then the CEO himself or herself will not be able to go through all these stages and lead it on the day-to-day. So you need to have really an innovation champion or a transformation champion. Getting that single individual right is maybe the secret sauce of it, right? And we have very good, look, we work with the global Fortune 1000 companies, and you realize that not all of them manage to get the right person to enjoy and to walk through this journey. So we typically, it's something that we will advise strongly to the champion, be the CEO or who is the champion for our journey, maybe the board in charge of transforming, to help identify or profile the person that needs to lead that. Why? Because the organization is not catered and it's not defined typically to think about exponential change. One of the challenges of the technologies today, when you apply data, cloud computing, IoT, AI together, the change is not linear, it's exponential. We are not catered, we don't think exponential. When we think the distance between A and B, it's always linear if you want to assess distance and time. We are not, our brains are not, so organizations do not really feel comfortable about that, and you need to have people that really can walk the talk about what this journey needs to be.
So you mentioned one person, but we're increasingly seeing that the CIO and the business head partnership is critical. So the CIO
definitely
needs to drive the technology and make the change inside themselves also, and then needs to find an ally in the form of the business head. So is it until in legacy time you had ERP implementation, you needed champion, but do you still believe it's a one-man champion show, or does it need multiple?
Look, what I'm saying is that you need to have a very strong sponsor and someone that really walks the talk within the C-suite. Then this person alone will not win. You need to have a team and capability. But if you don't have a strong person that is capable to fight against the, let's say, the immune system, that's not going to work. The person can be perfectly well the CIO. Actually, the CIO with the technology and the CapEx budget and the OpEx budget they manage are the key enablers for a lot of the transformations. Said that, we do not believe that the question needs to start with the technology. It's always a business problem you're trying to solve. It's always a customer and experience you're trying to improve, right? Then the CIO, and we have a lot of CIOs that walk the talk about that, and they're fantastic and phenomenal ambassadors of this transformation. Said that, often we find companies that think, that say, we have blockchain, we have this, and have you tried them? Yes. Have you scaled them? No. Because the CIO did the first step, but no one else took it to a scale. So it needs to be someone that is strong on adopting and strong on influencing.
Last question. So what's happening to the CEO? So is the CEO a successful CEO who has gone through this transformation? Is there a change in their market value? Will they stay with this organization? Are CEOs looking at leveraging this experience? What is happening over there? Because I saw some statistics that the average span of a CEO engaged with the company is reducing. Is it because they are under stress that they're not able to deliver and they move on, or is it that they're successful and they move on? Which one, in your opinion, do you think is happening?
Let me put an example. What is the role of the CEO? Is to bring the company to a next level, to make it stronger and pervasive over time. When you look at what has happened since the year 2000, over 50% of the listed companies have disappeared or have been merged, meaning the CEOs are in a very difficult moment where their core businesses are being challenged. And we even say that all the companies that have been built with the 20th century mindset will eventually disappear unless they dramatically transform. So the CEO has a big task ahead. Then, are they all ready for this? Well, maybe not, personally, but some they don't have the support from the boards. Some of the big challenge is how much the board is willing to change gears. And this is not obvious because you need investment, you need risk-taking model. And that's why you need to have the right profile to venture people into the new.
Thank you much, sir.
Appreciate.
Pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much.
We can continue discussion.